Corinth, 400 BC, inside the temple of Aphrodite, a 12-year-old girl stands on an altar, barely covered by a torn tunic, trembling. Around her, 50 drunk men are shouting, bidding. The priest calls out prices like he's selling livestock. 15 drachmas, 20, 25. The winner approaches. She tries to run. Guards grab her, hold her down. This isn't a sacrifice. It's an auction. And it happens every night, with hundreds of girls. Inside a temple, welcome to ancient Greece, the civilization that invented democracy, philosophy, and theatre. And this, I'm Crown and Dagger. History without filters, 8 documented practices, 8 ways Athens destroyed thousands of women while celebrating virtue. Ancient Greece, 800–146 BC. Democracy, philosophy, the Parthenon. And something they don't teach you, systematic sexual exploitation on an industrial scale. Athens, 50,000 inhabitants, between 5,000 and 8,000 women in forced prostitution. 1 in every 6 women, enslaved, branded, worked to death. 18-hour shifts, 6 to 10 men daily. Price 2 obols, less than a theatre ticket. The Temple of Aphrodite in Corinth, hundreds of girls ages 10 to 16, branded with hot iron. The temple's revenue exceeded Athens' entire naval budget. Athenian tax records confirm brothels funded 10% of city revenue. The Parthenon, the theatres, democracy itself, partially funded by enslaved children. Average survival, 8 to 12 years. Most dead by age 25. It was bureaucratic, legal, celebrated. Why do you know Socrates but not this? History prefers myths over truths. Hit like and subscribe. 8 practices. From a girl's arrival to her anonymous death. This is what they wrote, and we ignore. The economics were brutally efficient. Lysias and Demosthenes documented exact pricing in court speeches. 2 obols per session, the cost of bread. If a woman served 8 men daily at 2 obols each, that's 16 obols. Monthly, 45 drachmas. The owner kept 40. She got 5, barely enough for food. Dio Chrysostom described the conditions. Small rooms separated by thin curtains. No privacy. Every sound audible. Men waiting in hallways could hear everything. Work schedule? Dawn to past midnight? 16 to 18 hours. No days off. No sick leave. Menstruation, injuries, pain. None of it mattered. Only revenue. Athens had 8,000 women working simultaneously. That's 64,000 transactions daily. Over 23 million per year. 23 million paid rapes annually in one city. And here's the darkest part. Athenian tax records prove brothel taxes funded public works. The treasurers who paid for the Parthenon's marble collected taxes from men who bought 10-year-old girls. Writers discussed it casually. Xenophon compared brothel investments to agricultural estates. Both generated reliable returns. Aristophanes joked about prices in plays performed at civic festivals. The normalization was complete. In the city that invented philosophy, buying a woman cost less than quality bread and carried the same moral weight as buying olive oil. Athenian law set no minimum age for prostitution. None. Court records reference girls aged 10 to 13 being sold. Lysias mentioned an 11-year-old purchased for 30 drachmas, 3 sheep. Some were daughters of enslaved women, inheriting status at birth. Others were war captives from coastal raids. Each girl received a permanent brand burned into her thigh. The procedure, owners heated bronze stamps until glowing red. The girl was held down, sometimes requiring multiple men. The stamp pressed into her inner thigh for several seconds. The smell of burning flesh. Screams heard throughout the building. This served multiple purposes: identification, escape prevention, and psychological destruction. A permanent mark saying you belong to someone else forever. Medical texts note, younger girls commanded prices 10 to 15 times higher. Merchants advertised untouched girls prominently. The same legal system protecting free citizens' property provided zero protection for enslaved children. A 10-year-old girl had the same legal status as livestock. Many died within their first year: internal injuries, infections, malnutrition, or cumulative trauma. Owners documented these as acceptable losses. New girls were cheap and constantly available. In the city that produced Plato's philosophy about justice, 12-year-old girls were branded like animals and worked to death, and philosophers who walked past these brothels daily. They documented property laws but never questioned the system. New arrivals underwent a deliberately cruel ritual designed to break them immediately. Pappos of Thessaly described it in detail. When a premium-priced, untouched girl arrived, she was assaulted in full view of other women and regular customers. This served calculated purposes. First, immediate spirit breaking. Any hope of resistance crushed on day one before it could develop into action. Second, establishing hierarchy. Every woman watched and understood. This could happen to you again, anytime. Compliance is mandatory. Third, entertainment. Customers jeered, laughed, placed bets on how long she'd scream or fight. Fourth, economics. A fresh girl was worth 20-30 obols instead of 2, but that premium only lasted one day. After public initiation, she became standard inventory. The brothel extracted maximum value from her novelty immediately. Aristophanes referenced this in comedies. His audiences understood the jokes because the practice was normalized. Writers described it without moral commentary. Just how new inventory was processed. The same tone used for breaking horses. Girls who survived learned quickly: mask your agony behind forced smiles. Showing pain provoked more violence. Others never recovered psychologically. But the brothel had already extracted its value. Brothels sorted women into specialized categories, each with distinct pricing. Graffiti on ancient brothel walls and legal records reveal classifications. Foreign women, those who couldn't speak Greek. Women who actively resisted, those still unbroken. Each category had its pricing structure. Some men paid double for specific characteristics. Others paid triple for authentic struggle. But the most disturbing category, women advertised specifically for violence. Brothel graffiti shows customers paid premium rates for the privilege of permanent harm. Slashing faces, breaking teeth, deliberate scarring, burns from oil lamps. Violence became a commodity. Some women were designated punishment girls. Their purpose was absorbing brutality that would damage more valuable workers. Documented injuries, split lips, shattered teeth, burns, knife cuts, broken bones. Not accidents. Deliberate injuries customers sought out and paid extra for. Owners calculated this economically. Violence workers earned less per customer, but attracted clients paying 5 to 10 times normal rates. The math worked. In the city that celebrated mathematics and Olympic athletics, cruelty against women operated as a lucrative, specialized trade, all categorized and documented with the same efficiency Athens applied to grain shipments. Daily brutality paled beside religious festivals. During Dionysia celebrations, prostitutes were handed to groups of men for free as sacred ritual. No payment, no limits. Multiple sources describe these scenes. Groups of 10 to 15 intoxicated men assaulting women sequentially or simultaneously while music played and wine flowed. Bets placed on how long victims stayed conscious. These occurred in public, temple courtyards, festival grounds, streets. Passers-by watched, some joined, others stepped around and continued shopping. Complete normalization. Medical texts document festival deaths with clinical precision. Internal bleeding, suffocation, organ failure, cumulative blood loss. Physicians recorded these as festival casualties alongside accidental deaths from drinking. Priests claimed these acts honored Dionysus. Temple records show wine and women's blood mingling at altars. Their suffering was holy. Their death was sacrifice. Festivals lasted multiple days. Survivors were dragged back to brothels immediately, often with severe injuries, to resume normal work. The dead were thrown into ravines with festival refuse, no funeral rites, garbage, no investigations, no accountability. It was proper religious observance, protected by sacred law. Athens transformed systematic sexual violence into economic profit and religious obligation. The brutality served multiple purposes: entertainment, worship, social bonding, and reinforcing enslaved women's status as subhuman. Daily beatings maintained order: sticks, weighted leather straps, bare fists. Not occasional discipline, operational procedure. Legal records reveal regular customers participated in punishments as entertainment. A dropped cup, mispronounced name, or tears could trigger violence. Beyond beatings, isolation. Women locked in pitch-black storage rooms for days without food or water, or tied to courtyard posts, exposed to elements until they died from exposure or learned. Owners called this character correction in ledgers. Objects served as weapons: wooden clubs, heavy wine cups, knife handles. Archaeological evidence from brothel ruins shows wall and furniture damage from repeated impacts. Women learned to mask agony behind forced smiles because showing pain provoked further violence. Escape attempts were treated as theft, property stealing itself. Captured runaways were branded on the forehead or chest. Some were nailed to wooden boards and displayed in city squares. Death from thirst or infection took days. Their screams echoed through marketplaces. Others were sold to mines, death sentences. Life expectancy measured in months. Desperate women sought temple sanctuary, but priests, bribed by owners, handed them back. Property rights outweighed divine protection. Legal records document payments, 5 to 10 drachmas, for return of escaped property. Each failed escape brought harsher retribution. Some women bore multiple brands from multiple captures. Their bodies became maps of failed freedom attempts. Pregnancy was damage to property requiring immediate correction. To prevent conception, women were forced to drink poisonous herbal brews daily. Pennyroyal, tansy, and other abortifacients documented in medical texts. These caused severe cramping and permanent organ damage. When pregnancy occurred, abortion was mandatory. Medical texts detail methods: concentrated herbal poisons causing violent convulsions, boiling substances inserted into the womb, sharpened implements pushed inside. These procedures were performed without pain relief. Anesthesia costs money, often without medical training. Brothel owners or senior enslaved women performed them. Infection rates were massive. Many died from sepsis within days. If pregnancy reached late term, birth occurred on the same mat where customers were entertained hours before. No midwives unless the owner paid. No medicines, no sanitation. Many bled to death during or after delivery. Others died from puerperal fever within days. Infant remains have been found in drainage channels and refuse heaps behind brothel ruins. Killing newborns was routine, especially girls or children of unknown fathers. Some infants were drowned in buckets immediately. Others left exposed in alleys. A few sold to child traffickers. For many women, ending their child's life was the only mercy they could give, sparing them the same fate. Under Athenian law, these women had no legal standing. Their bodies and all products, including children, belonged to owners. A woman had no legal claim to her own infant. Consent was a concept the law explicitly denied them. Sexual assault of a citizen's wife was a crime. Assault of an enslaved woman wasn't assault, just use of property. Few women lived past their mid-20s. Average survival from entry to death, 8 to 12 years. Medical records document causes: sexually transmitted diseases, untreated infections, physical exhaustion, malnutrition, cumulative trauma. Women with festering wounds or visible disease weren't removed. They were segregated into lower-tier brothels, charging 1 obol, working until physical collapse. Owners considered treatment wasteful. Account ledgers show the calculation. Physician, visit costs 2 to 3 drachmas. Replacement girl costs 20-30 drachmas, but lasts 10 years. Treating a dying woman costs more than buying a healthy replacement. The decision was obvious. When too sick to earn, women were discarded, literally, carried beyond city walls and abandoned while still breathing. Many died slowly from thirst and exposure. But cruelty extended beyond death, designed to erase them completely. These women were denied proper Greek burial rites. Religious custom held that bodies must be washed, anointed, properly mourned. Citizens received elaborate funerals. Enslaved prostitutes received none. Their bodies were dumped in ravines with refuse. No tombstones, no inscriptions, nothing marking they existed. This was deliberate. Greek belief held improper burial condemned the soul to eternal wandering. By denying proper rites, Athens condemned them even in death. Archaeological excavations near Athens have uncovered mass graves containing hundreds of remains, mostly female, mostly young, showing severe trauma and malnutrition. No grave goods, no markers, just bodies piled and covered. Even if a woman somehow achieved freedom, she remained untouchable. Former prostitutes were legally excluded from civic life, banned from temples, unable to marry citizens. Living ghosts. The cruelty was woven into entertainment. Aristophanes depicted prostitutes as worthy only of mockery or violence in plays performed at civic festivals. Audiences roared with laughter. Painted pottery displayed graphic scenes of gang violence, decorating wine cups and storage jars. Violence against women became household decoration. Children grew up seeing these images, learning such treatment was normal. Athens didn't just exploit these women, it systematically erased them from life, death, memory, and moral consideration. Greek intellectuals documented everything, but their tone reveals acceptance, not horror. Dio Chrysostom described conditions in detail, not to condemn, but to record facts alongside grain prices. Lysias mentioned brothel economics in legal speeches the same way he discussed property disputes. Aristophanes made it comedy. Audiences, including philosophers and officials, laughed at scenes depicting abuse. None called for change. They documented, satirized, analyzed, but accepted it as unchangeable reality. Socrates taught virtue in the Agora. 3 streets away, children were branded and sold. He walked past those brothels regularly, never mentioned it. Plato wrote about ideal justice. Brothels funding his academy operated blocks away. He knew. He saw. He included slavery in his ideal republic. Aristotle debated ethics. He owned slaves, wrote, "Some humans are naturally suited for slavery." Never questioned what happened in brothels he passed daily. The disconnect was complete. Athens celebrated wisdom while normalizing systematic horror. The lesson isn't that Athens was uniquely evil, but Athens was uniquely hypocritical. They built democracy while excluding 90% of the population. They celebrated reason while profiting from exploitation. They taught virtue while normalizing cruelty. Brothel taxes funded the Parthenon's marble, the theatres, the Agora, where Socrates taught. Democracy was partially funded by enslaved women's bodies. When citizens process human suffering like grain shipments, when philosophers ignore horror at their doorstep, when comedians turn pain into entertainment, civilization's values become meaningless words. Everyone had justification. No one felt responsible. When exploitation becomes official policy, when cruelty becomes civic duty, that's when civilization crosses a line it never uncrosses. So that's what Greek historians recorded about sexual practices in ancient Athens. Not the sanitized version taught in schools, but what Dio Chrysostom, Lysias, Pappos, and Aristophanes actually wrote. The Parthenon still stands. Tourists marvel at Greek philosophy and democracy. But in those brothel ruins beneath modern Athens, history whispers a different truth. They invented democracy for some by enslaving others. They celebrated wisdom while normalizing systematic cruelty. They taught virtue while profiting from horror. The marble temples were built on broken bodies. The philosophical dialogues were funded by broken lives. If this disturbed you, hit like. If you want more unfiltered history, subscribe. I'm Crown and Dagger, and this is what they wrote and we ignore.